And welcome everybody to the revelation of the singularity. This is probably a pretty popular video I can imagine as far as wow, my monitor looks there's like a light shining on it and it's like red although it's black. That's weird. Anyway, this is probably the most action-packed video you're going to hear probably out of all of them because first of all no one really had the an answer as far as I'm aware of exactly what it would be like when we enter into the singularity, and nobody truly knows its limitations. So this video is actually going to reveal its limitations, its boundaries, and the revelation of how the singularity is going to happen and how it actually has already happened. And that's what's kind of weird. The singularity has already happened. Okay. The thing is we are brought down into this universe of darkness. Okay, Lucifer was cast out into the darkness, which is this universe. All right, so the singularity happened as soon as God created Lucifer. Okay, Lucifer, as far as I'm aware, he was the first being that was created with God. Okay, so you have to understand that God did not have a beginning. He did, and he will never have an end. He is infinite, and he always existed, and he always will exist. That's where everybody gets so confused about God, is because they always think, oh, he had to have been created. He had to have been created. Well, when you always exist, you don't need to be created, and there's never a point of creation for the being that is God, because he's one in infinity, one in infinite. So first of all, he always existed. And the cool thing about that is the fact that you could boil that down to any number you want, and God always existed. So you could say, hey, fucking God existed quadrillion, bazillion, 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 bazillion years ago, times bazillion, bazillion, bazillion. And the truth is, yeah, he always existed. Like, you will never it's impossible to reach a point at which you cannot identify that the creator has already always been to. So people have a hard time accepting that and believing that because they don't understand it. They don't understand like how somebody could always exist. But that's why God is showing us. Because so God put us down here in this universe and he slowed everything down because he needed to slow it down so that everybody's aware of everything that matters, because basically God is infinite. He knows all things. So he knows that Lucifer is going to try to steal people's souls. So free will has to be granted, right? So that's why God put a limitation on us when we die, because he has to limit how much pain and torture that Lucifer can put people through. Because like, you got to understand, like, if God put us in our eternal bodies, we would be eternal. What that means is you could shoot a bullet through your head and you would still be alive because you're a spirit. And the reason you would not die, there's nothing you could do if you're in a spirit form, and whatever is done to you in spirit form, you're eternal. But you have to know you will still feel as if it were happening because you're a spirit. And it's nature to feel like what is being done to you. So anyway, yeah, the reason you also don't die if you're in your spirit form. So basically, Lucifer is in his spirit form. He's already eternal. God created him like that. Okay, so who knows how old Lucifer is? He's billions of years old. But basically, spirit rules over matter, and matter rules over spirit. Okay, so that's why we're limited inside of our bodies, because we're inside matter. Because God knew that we are in the middle of the battlefield, and He has to limit. Because, like, if we were eternal, Lucifer would throw us in a fucking volcano, and it's based on free will. We have to exist, and it's because of the laws of nature. Like, God knows mathematics, right? So when He created Lucifer in spirit form, the mathematics that were working for Lucifer and all of us, and to put it on the side, not just Lucifer, but the thing is, Lucifer was never expected to be harmed. He was never expected to fucking do anything that would cause him to die, right? So therefore, he was already eternal. He was granted eternal life because he chose to go against those mathematical odds because it's his choice. So when you're not expected to die, and if you are to experience an event that was not expected to occur, it will be canceled out, okay? That's why, like, if Lucifer tries to cut his head off, he's a spirit. He can't cut his head off because it'll just reattach right onto his body. Or who knows how it works. That's just how it works because God is eternal. He can't die, so it just goes to show if you were to try to stick a spear through God, he's a spirit. You can't kill him. It wouldn't do anything because he's eternal. But the thing is, Lucifer is granted the ability where he can actually put a spear through his body because it's his free choice. And he won't die. And he likes to fuck with people's heads. And he's like saying, what the fuck? Why don't I die? And he's all trying to get everybody to burn in hell. So the revelation behind the singularity is God is the singularity, okay? So the thing is, the singularity always existed, and there was never a point in time that the singularity wasn't infinite. And that's the revelation of infinite is the revelation of infinite is that it has no beginning. So it was always. So the revelation of the singularity is it was always. Okay, and let me tell you the job of the creator. And then when I explain the job of the creator, it'll be a little bit easier to perceive everything that he's actually doing. So the job of the creator is to make sure that everything can be in order. Everything has to be put in order to be perceived. That's the number one way you're going to know if there's a God. Because if there's a God, everything that he creates is going to be in order. And it's going to be like infinite in nature. And you're going to always see it do a miracle. Because it's his nature to just be infinite. So you're always going to... And here's another thing that people are so mystified about. People are wondering what the Big Bang is. The Big Bang, I swear to you people, I have figured out the divine answer. It is the revelation. You could just imagine that is God speaking. The very first time God created the universe down here, because heaven, it was already infinite. It always existed, and it was always infinite. So God is spirit, okay? He's infinite. He's eternal. So like I said earlier, spirit rules over matter. So in the beginning, when the Big Bang happened, God ruled matter into existence. That's all that is. All you're seeing in the Big Bang is God ruling matter into existence. So he said he might have said let there be light. He might have said let there be matter. He might have just pointed and said let there be a universe, and then boom, it's ruled into existence because that's how God works. Like when he can rule anything into existence. Okay? Another thing you need to understand, Lucifer has power to rule stuff into existence over matter. So that's why it warns that we have all the power over the devil. Because matter rules over spirit. but spirit rules over matter. So that's why it warns you never to put your guard down with the devil, because if the devil rules over you, you are screwed, because he's eternal. Like, he can take control of you. And anybody that's ever experienced being taken control of, is they've sold their soul. And what that means, you have to understand, everything is possible, okay? Because we're in existence that is one and infinite. So everything is possible. So God works in a way, like, if you rule your eternal spirit out of his, because right now, God is the one who holds in his hands everybody's eternal spirit. Because when we die, he's the one who holds on to our eternal spirit, and it's put to rest. So he protects it for us. But the thing is, it's our choice of what we want to do. So if you sell your soul and you command the Creator to release your eternal spirit, he'll do anything. That's how God is. Like, you don't want to do that, because, like, if you release your eternal spirit and you're with Lucifer's going to hold on to your eternal spirit as you'll be his hostage for as long as he can take you hostage. And remember, God has us in this state of realm where he ruled matter into existence so that we could learn, so that we won't be tricked by what Lucifer's going to do, because it's the only way that we would actually be able to know and be able to live in a way where it doesn't happen to us, and where it's not a normality. Because, like, if God didn't slow this down so that we could figure it out, Lucifer would just be holding on to everybody forever, because everything would be going too fast, and we would never be able to figure it out, and it's free will. So God slowed it down to where he knew we'd figure out, like, the whole principle behind stuff mattering, because we're in a computer system. Nothing has to matter, but at the same time, that's how God created it, where it needs to matter, and it's good to matter, because it matters if you take somebody into eternal hostage. If you take little Johnny over there into a fucking bunker for fucking quadrillions of bazillions and bazillions of years, that's not good. And there's reasons that you shouldn't do it. And that's what God's trying to show us, is he had to slow it down so we would see, oh shit, that's not good to fucking hold people's spirits ransom for bazillions and bazillions and infinite amounts of years, because it's not, God knows everything. He wouldn't let that happen. And that's why Lucifer's in trouble, is because since Lucifer knew that God was infinite, he has to, the odds are going to have to play back against him. So he has to be eternally punished. Like, since he knew that God knew everything, and that he knew that there was going to be a point that God wasn't going to allow it, it's his punishment. Because it's just like anybody saying, hey, if you do this, I'm going to do that. So God already warned him, and Lucifer knows that he's infinite, and knows that he wasn't going to let this happen to us. And Lucifer's against that, because it means that it's going to happen to him. So he's in a total rampage, like, oh, so you're going to let me fail, but fucking, dude, he's just whining about all this, and he's just real mad, because, like, God is infinite, and Lucifer, he's not infinite. So he falls short of knowing everything by so much that he's just jealous of God, because, God, he exists for, and that's the final revelation I'm going to reveal in this video. Like, the thing is, in order for us to learn stuff and to know stuff, we need time. The more time we get, the more we know. So it's like, give us 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, we learn and we know stuff. That's why God created time, is so that we could learn stuff. Because shit, think about it. If God is infinite, he has to break it down to a point of frame rate of which it can be perceived in a normal fucking reality. Because it's like, he's infinite. He could fucking know bazillions and infinite amounts of things at one time. And that's not good for everybody to know, so he has to make it to where it's actually at its base level to where it's normal. And this is what it looks like. You're looking at what it looks like when the infinite creator infinitely calibrates a computer system, or beyond a computer system. It's beyond a computer system to its eternal balance points. So yeah, the revelation behind the singularity is God always existed. So they're actually, we're not due to hit a singularity because it's always been there. So it's like you can't go into a singularity if it's always been in a singularity. And that's what the singularity is to reach the point of infinite information, infinite knowledge. Or actually, it's the boundary of where artificial intelligence surpasses mankind. But you have to understand, that's what Lucifer did, dude. Like, when God created him, Lucifer became a being of artificial intelligence. That's what these computers are, because spirit rules over matter. So Lucifer can rule matter in it to do stuff. So that's why he created these computers. And it's the devil worshippers that actually are the ones that own the world, because the devil gives them all that information after they sell their souls, because it further brings the order to more corruption when he can control them and he can have their money. So it's like, hey, he'll make them millions of dollars, but that money's going to go towards sacrificing everybody to the devil and killing everybody. And that's what people don't know about, because they're not supposed to know about that. You're not supposed to be told that they're trying to sacrifice. If you guys could remote perceive like what were happening and weren't in the middle of like all this chaos, what you would see at like a later point of what the devil's doing is, after he gets everybody to fucking follow his orders and start destroying everybody and uncreating reality, it starts going to the higher sin. So it's basically like when it goes, because we're going to go to Judgment Day where God has to reveal everything that was good and everything that was bad, because Lucifer doesn't believe in it. He doesn't believe that there's good or evil. And that's what all these Satanists and Luciferians out there and fucking atheists believe. There's no such thing as good. There's no such thing as evil. Well, that's fine if you want to believe that, but it doesn't mean that that's completely true. And I can understand how some people don't truly understand that, because it does, at some point, can be perceived at that perspective until you actually start understanding the knowledge of how there is a God and there is an enemy. So when you know that the enemy's just fucking trying to pretend like none of this matters, then it's like so obvious, like, oh shit, dude, everything does matter and everything is good or evil. So the point behind all this is God is going to have to judge everything that everybody did, because when everybody's spirit goes to rest, that's why everybody's spirit's going to rest, is because they're being destroyed, and they have to be showed, like, if you work under this order of construct, like, you will not exist. You will destroy yourself. So everybody dies because Lucifer, he targets everybody. Like, that's what happens when you're targeted and headhunted. You will be destroyed. Like, we were supposed to be eternal. So you can see that Lucifer slowed us down a shit ton, and he is really trying to fuck us up. But God knows how to make it so it'll all work out in the long run. So he slowed it down so we could see what the damn devil was doing and figure out, like, okay, well, it does matter. Like, it does. How are you going to say it doesn't matter? I mean, whether or not anybody knows that any of this is real or not, like, what you can't argue, like, that any of you would like to be tortured for millions and millions of years and not be able to do anything about it. Some will argue, well, you can't be tortured for millions and millions of years. You won't exist. Of course you won't exist, because God fucking looked out for you and fucking put a limit to how long You guys were supposed to be down here in the darkness and tortured. But if we were in our eternal bodies, free will has to be granted. And people don't understand. Like, that's why he slowed everything down. We had to realize it's like if you slit your fucking wrist, you're gonna fucking bleed to death. And it's just the way it is. It's like you can say like you don't want it to be like that and it shouldn't be like that, but it's the way it is. So the revelation is after Judgment Day, everybody that decides they're into wanting to exist, God puts everybody in their eternal body, right? But he also patches the deficiency of being able to do wrong. So that means we won't be able to harm ourselves whenever he patches that in the mind. So after Judgment Day, he patches the deficiency of being able to harm ourselves, right? So automatically, that's when we are granted eternal life. Because we won't ever harm ourselves. Like, we won't ever put an arrow through somebody's heart. And God knows everything. So, like, we're granted eternal life. Because it's only through destroying something that it's taken away. It's like if you destroy somebody, it will be destroyed. Because it's nature. It's reality. So he had to fucking put it in order of constructs, so that everybody realizes it all matters. Like, dude, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You can say nothing matters, but you tell me nothing matters, and you go get a big ass pike and dig it into the ground, right? You jump onto that pike and throw your heart into it, and you tell me that it doesn't matter. All right. So anybody that tells me that nothing matters, you're all delusional, and you're all blind to the battle of Armageddon, of what's coming upon us. So all I can tell you about the final thing about the singularity is God is infinite. He knows everything you think. He knows everything you do before you do it. He knows everything you're gonna do. He knows everything about how you're gonna die. He knows everything you hate. He knows everything, okay? Because he's infinite. All right? Remember, only when somebody gets more time do they learn more stuff. That's how people know things, right? So when you're infinite, you know everything, because you, like, think about it. When you get 1 hour of time, normally in 1 hour of time, you learn 1 hour of knowledge, and it's an hour of stuff that you never knew. But when you're infinite and you get an hour of time, nothing changes, like, because it takes time to know stuff, right? So if you're infinite, dude, you just know everything. So it's like if you get 1 hour, it's the same. It doesn't you don't learn anything new, because you're still infinite and you know everything because you're infinite. Like, people don't want to fucking wrap their mind around that. Like, get over it, guys. When you're infinite, you're fucking infinite. Like, period. Like, a bazillion years, like, that's what's so cool about the Creator. Like, in a bazillion years, he's not gonna know anything new. He's not gonna forget anything. He already knows everything. It's infinite. So there's never a point where he just, I know something new. Because he's infinite. Dude, he always existed. People are so stupid.